Hello friends, welcome to our channel Cbse English, the Topper's Choice. In today's video, we are going to discuss Class 12th, 5th story from the book Vistas Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Here we go. At the beginning, we'll talk about the author of the story. John Updike is the author of the story. John Updike, born on 18th March 1932 and died on 27th January 2009, was an American novelist, poet, short story writer, art critic, and literary critic. One of only 4 writers to win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction more than once, Updike published more than 20 novels, more than a dozen short story collections, as well as poetry, art and literary criticism, and children's books during his career. Hundreds of his stories, reviews, and poems appeared in The New Yorker, starting in 1954. He also wrote regularly for the New York Review of Books. His most famous work is his Rabbit series, which chronicles the life of the middle-class everyman Harry Rabbit Angstrom over the course of several decades, from young adulthood to death. Both Rabbit is Rich, which was published in 1982, and Rabbit at Rest, which was published in 1990, were recognized with the Pulitzer Prize. Theme of the story. The main theme of the story, Should Wizard Hit Mommy, is the relation of children with their parents. Children's fantasies and the messages of stories they bring with them affect children and sometimes make them critical. The story raises a moral issue, whether parents should decide what the children should do or let the children do what they like to do. It also deals with child innocence, represented by Joe, and the adult perspective, represented by Jack. Joe is like most children who dream and live in their own magical world. They are far removed from ugliness and petty differences. They are pure at heart. Jack invents stories, and the plots he creates deal subconsciously with his own experiences and complexes. The story also deals with the theme that parents know what is best for the children, even though the children may not realize it. Introduction to the story. The story, Should Wizard Hit Mommy, revolves around Jack, who is a father to 2 kids, Joan, that is Joe, and Bobby. His wife Clare is carrying their 3rd child. Jack had a habit of telling his daughter Joe a story every evening and on Saturday afternoon naps. This time, when he was telling her a story, she interrupts him and asks him questions whenever she feels that things that are being told are not right. So, Jack now finds himself in a fix and doesn't know how to resolve Joe's questions. Parents feel that children should do or think exactly what they are told. They should believe whatever they are told by their parents. But is this the right attitude? This moral question is raised by the story and left for the reader to decide what should be done. Now we'll discuss the summary of the story. The story, Should Wizard Hit Mommy, begins by telling us about Jack has 2 little kids. The kids are Joe and Bobby. Joe's wife, Claire, was pregnant with their 3rd one. Thus, to put her daughter to bed, Jack would make up stories for her daughter. This storytelling tradition started when Joe was 2 years old and thus continued ever since. Jack makes sure that he tells a different story every time. However, a small creature was always common, Roger. For instance, it was either Roger Fish or Roger Chipmunk. Roger goes to the wise old owl with problems that would send him to a wizard. Thus, the wizard's spell would solve the problem after payment of pennies. Now that Joe is growing up, it is getting difficult to put her bed for nap time in afternoons. Thus, one day, Jack decides to tell her a story about Roger Skunk. In the story, there is a little skunk that always smelled very bad. It is so bad that no animals play with him and is always alone. Thus, Roger Skunk decides to go to the wise old owl. As usual, the owl sends him to the wizard. The wizard, with his spells, asks Roger Skunk about his wish. He expresses his wish to smell like roses, to which the wizard agrees. After that, all the animals start playing with the skunk and he plays till it gets dark. Finally, Roger Skunk goes home to his mommy. Joe thinks the story is over when Jack continues. After reaching home, the mummy notices the awful smell and asks Roger who did this. Roger Skunk tells her that he did not like the way he smelled, so he asked the wizard to help him smell like roses. This infuriates the mother and tells him to accept himself for what he is. She goes to the wizard all angry and asks him to return the skunk smell after hitting him. Thus, the wizard reverses his spell and Roger Skunk is back to smelling like he did before. However, this new ending does not please Joe. She asks Jack to change it to the wizard hitting the mommy back. Jack did not like this protest, and Joe kept insisting to change the ending the next day when he comes with another story. She does not listen and follows Jack back downstairs, but now Jack is infuriated and threatens to give her a beating. She goes back disappointed, and Jack sits with his wife in a sticky situation. Now we'll discuss the main characters of the story. Number 1. Jack. Jack is the father of a young family. He enjoys telling tales and views regular bedtime stories with his daughter Jo as a creative outlet. Jack grows increasingly dissatisfied with domestic life and is upset when he finds that his stories no longer captivate his daughter like they once did. Number 2. Jo. Jo is Jack and Claire's 4-year-old daughter. She is going through a reality phase in which she questions whether concepts and claims that her parents make are real. She is starting to be able to distinguish fantasy from reality and grows less agreeable and less interested in what Jack has to say. Number 3. Clare. Clare is the mother of Bobby and Joe. She is 6 months pregnant with their third child. While Jack is upstairs telling Joe a story, Clare is downstairs painting the trim in the living room, a task which as soon as he is done telling the story, Jack is expected to join her in doing. Clare, too, from the few details Updike provides, seems to take little pleasure in their domestic suburban lives. Number 4. Roger Skunk. Roger Skunk is a fictional character invented by Jack with the help of Joe. Roger Skunk is a target of bullying at school because of his strong odor. He pays the wizard to use magic to remove his odor so that he will be accepted at school. But when he goes home smelling, instead of like a skunk, like roses, his mother, Mommy Skunk, forces the wizard to return his skunk smell. Number 5. Wizard. Wizard is a recurring character in Jack's bedtime stories. He is often the person to whom the wise old owl refers Roger X and provides the Deus Ex Machina that usually concludes Jack's stories. Number 6. Owl. Owl is another recurring character in Jack's stories. He is supposed to offer Roger X some sage piece of advice, but usually just refers Roger to Wizard. Number 7. Mommy Skunk. The titular mommy of Should Wizard Hit Mommy is actually Roger Skunk's mother, also a skunk, who forces Wizard to return Roger to his original skunk-like smell. Joe hates Mommy Skunk's function in the story and roots for her to be hit by Wizard. Now we'll discuss the main points of the story. The chapter captures a very sensitive reaction of a small girl to an important aspect of the story that her father narrates to her. The story reveals the world view of a little child to a difficult moral question that shows her mental or psychological richness. Jo is a little girl of 4 years. She is engaged in a story session with her father. Jack, the father, used to tell her a story every evening and especially for Saturday naps. Jo feels herself involved with the characters and the happenings. The story always had an animal with a problem. The old owl advises him to visit the wizard who would solve the problem. Skunk's problem? He smelt bad, visited the wizard who changed it to the smell of roses. Skunk's mother was unhappy with it and took him back to the wizard. She hit the wizard and asked him to restore the original smell. She wanted her son to keep his identity of a skunk and wanted his friends to accept him for himself. So, the wizard changes him back to smell like a skunk. After hearing the story of Roger Skunk, Jo was not happy with the ending. She wants her father to change the ending. She wants the wizard to hit the mother back and let Roger be, which her father was not ready to do to establish his authority. This raises a difficult moral question whether parents possess the right to impose their will on their children. Her father finds it difficult to answer her question. So dear friends, if you have liked this video, please click on like, subscribe the channel and click on the bell icon to get more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching.